Amidst the backdrop of a raging conflict in Ukraine, foreign ministers from the Group of Seven Nations convened in Canada. This high-stakes meeting, held in March 2025, aimed to address the escalating crisis. It sought to find common ground on crucial issues like humanitarian aid for Ukraine and potential pathways to peace. The meeting came at a pivotal moment. The world watched with bated breath, hoping for signs of progress and a de-escalation of the conflict. The G7, comprising some of the world's most influential democracies, found themselves grappling with the ramifications of Russia's actions. The conflict had not only destabilized Eastern Europe but also sent shockwaves throughout the global order. With millions displaced and countless lives lost, the urgency of the situation could not be overstated. The G7 meeting, therefore, served as a platform for these powerful nations to coordinate their response. They sought to present a united front against Russian aggression. The meeting highlighted the complex geopolitical landscape that had emerged since the conflict began. It underscored the importance of international cooperation in addressing shared challenges. As the G7 nations deliberated, the world held its breath, waiting to see if these discussions would pave the way for a more peaceful future. The weight of responsibility lay heavy on the shoulders of the attending diplomats. They knew that the outcome of this meeting would have far-reaching consequences. The future of Ukraine hung in the balance, and so too did the stability of the international order. One of the most significant developments to emerge from the G7 meeting was the United States' proposal for a 30-day interim ceasefire. This proposal, presented by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, aimed to provide a window for diplomacy and humanitarian relief. The proposal was met with cautious optimism by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He expressed hope that it could pave the way for meaningful negotiations. However, he also emphasized the need for Russia to demonstrate genuine commitment to a peaceful resolution. Russia's response to the ceasefire proposal was guarded. President Vladimir Putin, while engaging in talks with former U.S. President Donald Trump, suggested that surrender was an option for Ukrainian forces. This statement drew sharp criticism from the international community, further fueling tensions. The contrasting reactions from Ukraine and Russia underscored the challenges in achieving a lasting peace. The ceasefire proposal, though fragile, offered a glimmer of hope in an otherwise bleak landscape. It represented a potential turning point in the conflict. If successful, it could pave the way for dialogue and de-escalation. However, the deep-seated mistrust between the parties involved remained a significant obstacle. The success of the ceasefire hinged on both sides adhering to its terms and engaging in good-faith negotiations. The international community watched closely, hoping that this fragile truce could hold and provide a much-needed respite from the violence. Beyond the ceasefire proposal, the G7 meeting also focused on providing vital financial assistance to Ukraine. Canada, a staunch ally of Ukraine, pledged $1.7 billion as the first tranche of a $2.5 billion loan. This financial support, channeled through the G7's Extraordinary Revenue Acceleration Initiative, aimed to bolster Ukraine's economy and support its people. The ERA, a novel mechanism using frozen Russian assets, demonstrated the G7's commitment to holding Russia accountable for its actions. The United Kingdom also stepped up its support, committing $970 million to Ukraine through the ERA initiative. Other G7 nations made significant contributions. These collective efforts demonstrated a united front in providing Ukraine with the resources it desperately needed. The financial aid package served as a lifeline for Ukraine. It helped to alleviate the humanitarian crisis and bolster its resilience in the face of adversity. The G7's financial commitment to Ukraine extended beyond immediate relief efforts. It aimed to support the country's long-term recovery and reconstruction. This comprehensive approach underscored the G7's dedication to standing by Ukraine not just during the conflict but also in the aftermath. The financial aid pledged by the G7 nations was not merely a gesture of goodwill. It represented a strategic investment in peace and stability. By supporting Ukraine, the G7 aimed to deter further aggression and uphold the principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity. Section 4. A troubled truce, ceasefire violations, and battlefield realities. Despite the hopes pinned on the ceasefire, reports from the ground painted a grim picture. Fighting continued in several regions, with Russia making advances in Kursk and Sumy. disturbing reports emerged of North Korean troops participating in the Kursk offensive. This development raised serious concerns about the internationalization of the conflict, adding to the escalating tensions. A Russian drone attack on Kharkiv left civilians injured. Another drone attack caused a fire at a hospital in Zolochiv, highlighting the indiscriminate nature of the violence. These ceasefire violations underscored the deep mistrust between the warring parties. They cast a long shadow over the prospects for a negotiated settlement. The continued fighting, despite the ceasefire agreement, illustrated the challenges in translating words into action on the ground. It raised questions about Russia's commitment to a peaceful resolution and highlighted the urgent need for robust monitoring mechanisms. The battlefield realities threatened to derail the fragile peace process. They underscored the need for a more robust and enforceable ceasefire agreement, one that addressed the security concerns of all parties involved. Section 5. Navigating a Path to Peace. Diplomatic efforts continue. Even as the ceasefire faltered, diplomatic efforts continued on multiple fronts. President Zelensky engaged in talks with Portugal's foreign minister to garner further support for Ukraine. These discussions highlighted the importance of international solidarity in the face of aggression. Meanwhile, Turkey emerged as a potential mediator in the conflict. Discussions focused on Turkey's role in providing security guarantees to Ukraine. They explored potential collaborations in drone production and post-conflict reconstruction efforts. Turkey's involvement, given its strategic location and relations with both Russia and Ukraine, offered a glimmer of hope. Zelensky, however, remained skeptical of Russia's intentions. He accused Putin of distorting the truth about the situation on the ground and deliberately obstructing peace efforts. He also criticized Russia for setting unrealistic conditions for the ceasefire, further dimming the prospects for a negotiated settlement. Despite the setbacks and accusations, the international community continued its push for a diplomatic solution. The G7 meeting, with its focus on dialogue and de-escalation, represented a step in the right direction. However, the road to peace remained fraught with challenges. Section 6. The uncertain future of Ukraine, a time of hope and trepidation. As the dust settled on the G7 meeting, the future of Ukraine remained shrouded in uncertainty. The ceasefire, though fragile, offered a glimmer of hope for a peaceful resolution. However, the continued fighting and deep mistrust between the parties involved served as stark reminders of the challenges ahead. The international community's unwavering support for Ukraine, both financially and diplomatically, provided a beacon of hope. The G7's commitment to holding Russia accountable for its actions sent a clear message that aggression would not be tolerated. The road to peace in Ukraine promised to be long and arduous. It would require sustained diplomatic efforts, unwavering international pressure, and a genuine commitment from all parties to finding a lasting solution. The G7 meeting, while not a panacea, represented a crucial step in the right direction. The world held its breath, watching and hoping that the seeds of peace sown at the G7 meeting would eventually take root and flourish, bringing an end to the suffering in Ukraine.